Jesus is real, but you devils taught lies on Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ, in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. So do or die. The Immaculate Conception is deception, along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's clause, the birth of Nimrod, and not the Son of God. To you was kinda odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High.
Hey, Shalom, Israel.
Shalom!
Thanks for joining us for another live class. We're here at 8524 South Razor Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77071. Class times are Monday and Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m., Friday from 6 to 8, and Saturday from 10 to 2. If you're local, feel free to join us. We're also in Virginia at 2610 Granby Street, Norfolk, Virginia, 23517. Class times are Tuesday, Thursday, 7 to 9, Friday, 6 to 8. If you're local in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, feel free to join them for class. If you're in the San Antonio area, we have a school at 4219 Centergate Street, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Their class times are Tuesday through Friday. If you're local in San Antonio and you want class live, hit us up for their class times, as well as Albuquerque, New Mexico. They're at 7710 Manuel Boulevard, Suite F, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87110. Okay. You can also catch us live here on YouTube under Israelite School of Biblical History and Practical Knowledge. Make sure you please like, share, and subscribe, as well as the ISBHPK ABQ Albuquerque channel, ISBHPK San Antonio, and Virginia live class. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You can also catch us every Saturday on Comcast Local Channel 17, our Hidden Truth Cable Show, okay? Or you can stream it live on hmstv.org. That's every Saturday at 8 p.m. You can also check out the Blog Talk Radio show. The brother Mashaba, he does that live from Albuquerque. That's every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30. Okay, that's blogtalkradio.com/Mashaba, MASHAHBA. Okay, you can watch our previously recorded kids class on ISBHPK Kids. Okay, and if your kids want live kids class, that's every Saturday at 2 o'clock here at the school. For our upcoming feast, we have the Memorial of the Blowing of the Trumpets on November the 27th. All right, so I mean, that's in a month. It's the end of the month. We won't be having class. That's on a Friday. It's a 7-day feast. So if you're local or if you want to congregate, please hit us up. Let us know. To reach a teacher, you can reach me at 303-557-8979, or you can contact Priest Kazakia at 281-707-2737. You can email us at isbhpk@isbhpk.org. All right, for anything that you want to contact us about. Also, if you like any garments or anything made, you can contact the sisters on Facebook under Everything Israel Wear, one word, and you can place an order. Also, the school department is selling fringe shirts. She'll put the flyer up for y'all to see it. And we're also, we have a unity garment that we're doing. Black and gold. For now, it's a tunic and girdle. That may change. Okay? So for those that are at Street Speak, that go out with us Street Speaking and flyers, make sure you get that money in by the 31st of this month. All right? That's going to be it for the announcements. I hit everything. Yeah, we had, sorry for the technical difficulties. We had some sound issues. But we are live. So what we're going to do, remember we only got class going for 2 hours now. Okay? So we do class, and then we'll hold questions until the Shabbat, where Kazak will do questions online Friday, I do questions online Saturday. Okay, so we're gonna get into this class. The title of this class is Spiritual Decay. Okay, and you know, we're gonna go in and show why do brothers and sisters' spirits decay? Why is it that when you get the word, you're joyful, you're happy, and then as time goes along, how do you fall away and how to prevent it? So I'm gonna let the brother go into his class. If you got any questions on the class, feel free to ask, okay?
Shalom, shalom.
All right, so I'll let him take it away. Go ahead.
So this class is going to be on, like the brother was saying, it's going to be on you pretty much, your spirit pretty much decaying, right? So I'm going to read this definition of decay so you can understand what decay means. So decay, the definition of decay means to pass gradually from a sound, prosperous, or perfect state. So at one point, you were prosperous, you were sound, you were perfect. And it says to pass gradually from a sound, prosperous, or perfect state to a less perfect state, or towards destruction. So at one point, you was perfect, you was sound, you was pure, you was right in the eyes of the Most High. But then over time, you start to decay, you start to get rotten. You start to lose that perfectness. You start to fail like the definition says. It says to decline, to be gradually impaired. Our bodies decay in old age. A tree decays. Buildings decay. Fortunes decay. So pretty much everything decays, because even metal starts to get rusty, starts to break down, cement starts to crack. Everything at some point starts to decay. And your flesh starts to decay as well, but this is the thing. Is your spirit supposed to be decaying? That's the question. Is your spirit supposed to be decaying? Not at all. Especially not when you have the truth. Your spirit's supposed to be growing. It's supposed to be increasing more and more. It's not supposed to be getting worse. So what we're going to do, we're going to start at Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1. Give me Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1.
Book of Psalms, chapter 1, verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly.
Go ahead.
Nor standeth in the way of sinners.
Go ahead.
Nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Con, go ahead.
But his delight is in the law of the Most High.
But it's what?
Delight is in the law of the Most High.
So when one will start to decay, that delight that was once in the law of the Most High, it's not there no more. You're not happy to serve the Most High no more. It's not rejuvenating to your soul to read the scriptures. You ain't trying to read. You ain't trying to hear the word. Everything takes precedence. Instead of you sitting down and reading the scriptures, like when you first got the truth, when you first got a taste of it, you was watching all kinds of videos, reading all kinds of books, of the Bible, I should say. But after a while, what happens? It gets monotonous. You start watching your Netflix, all that. Your delight is no longer in the law of the Lord. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 3. Salakia.
Verse 2.
Verse 2.
Go ahead.
But his delight is in the law of the Most High.
Go ahead.
And in his law doeth he meditate day and night.
And that's where his mind is at. Day and night. So when you start to decay, your mind ain't on the Most High no more. Go ahead.
And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water.
And he shall be like a what?
Tree planted by the rivers of water.
So when you're when your delight is in the law of the Lord, you meditate in it day and night, you become like a tree planted by the rivers of water. Go ahead.
That bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
Go ahead.
His leaf also shall not wither.
Go ahead.
He shall not what?
Wither.
He shall not what?
Wither.
Right, because withering away is a form of decay.
Gone.
And I like what you brought out about metal, and you said other things decay, trees, and all these different things. They do decay, but do they have to?
No, they don't.
That's the thing. Not everything has to decay. What is it about? It's about a maintenance. The Statue of Liberty. That statue been standing for so long. There's a statue it's somewhere in Britain, some old statue, man, that they have a guy that goes through and he maintains the statue every day. He maintains the metal and he scrapes away the rust. It's just like the Statue of Liberty. It's right there on the water, right? But he maintains it. He takes away that decay. And if not, the statue would crumble. So it's showing it's about a constant watering. It's a constant nourishment that needs to happen. It's a constant nourishing. You got to be attached to the umbilical cord of wisdom.
And that's what we was gonna go into. Because what's the opposite of decay? It's a lack of nourishment. You're not getting nourished. So that tree that's planted by the rivers of water.
That's not the opposite. That's the.
Oh, well, that's what causes it.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that tree that's planted by the rivers of waters, it's constantly getting nourished. So it happens. It grows. It bears fruit. The leaves are strong. You can look at the tree and be like, man, this is a strong tree. That's a great tree. But that tree that's not by water, that's in the desert, that tree, it withers up, the leaves start to fall off, the fruit is bad. Even if it bears fruit, the fruit is garbage, you can't eat it. So that's what happens to us when we get away from the Most High, when we get away from meditating on his laws, when the laws is no longer a delight. And when it says the laws being a delight in verse 2, right? That's an encompass of everything. It's not just the Torah, it's everything. It's from Genesis to Revelations. It's everything that Christ went through, everything that Paul was dropping, everything that the disciples was dropping. It's everything. It's a delightful thing. That's why we always hit Ecclesiastes chapter 2. Because that's what else will make the law not a delight to you? It's when you start to go through the trials and the tribulations that comes with following the law. So go ahead.
Read that verse 3 one more time.
Verse 3.
This is where the decay comes from. Go ahead.
And he shall be like a tree,
right,
planted by the rivers of water.
When you think about those trees that are planted on riverbanks, like when it talks about by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down, there we wept, and we remember Zion, and it goes into those trees. It said we hung our harps on the trees. Bro, those trees were rooted. They were immovable. You couldn't move those trees. You couldn't just uproot those because they were constantly being nourished and watered and replenished and getting the nutrients that they needed to stand.
Right.
Go ahead.
God. That bringeth forth his fruit.
That bringeth forth what?
His fruit.
Right.
In his season.
Right. Because that's what it comes down to, where when it's time for you in your season to bring forth fruit, you can't. Because the nourishment, the constant maintenance, the upkeep of the spirit ain't there, and you become unfruitful.
Right.
Read.
His leaf also shall not wither.
You see that? Even the leaves. The leaves are the last thing to get the nourishment.
Right.
The leaves are the last thing to get the watering, right? Because they're so far away from the root.
Right.
But it's showing you that even the leaves of the tree, when they're super green and they look real nice and they change their colors in the fall and the winter, that's the process, right? The leaves fall off.
Right.
But when you see a tree that's real nice and green, you're like, yeah, that tree is getting nourished.
You know what's funny about, just looking at the tree too? The leaves that are like at the very end of the branch, those are usually lighter than the ones that it's like
closer to the
closer
trunk.
to it. You can see it.
Yep.
Just from looking at it.
Yep. That darkness, that richness.
Right.
But even it said his leaves will not wither. Go ahead.
And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
Kind. So if you're not prospering, you gotta ask yourself, man, what's going on? What's going on? Go to Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 18. We're gonna jump to Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 18. Because what happens is you lose sight of your purpose and why the Most High blessed you with the knowledge and what you're supposed to be doing. Because when you look at just life in general, everything has to have an upkeep. or else it will decay. Everything. If you have a baby, you got to take care of the baby. You got to nourish the baby. You got to upkeep the baby. You got to maintain your baby, or your baby's going to decay. Not just food-wise, and not just changing the Pampers, but giving the baby love, giving the baby time, patience, your effort, your sacrifice, so that the baby can grow. All that takes time. All that takes time and care. But the thing is that we forget that we need all those. We forget that we need all those things to prosper. Read Proverbs 29:18.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 18.
Go ahead.
Where there is no vision, the people perish.
And one of the synonyms for perish is also decay. So when you don't have a vision, you start to decay as well. You got to have a vision every day, every morning. You got to set goals and accomplish them. You got to set a goal for the day. You got to set a goal for the week, a goal for the month, a goal for the year. Something that you can strive for that can keep you pushing, keep you going.
Let's deal with this tree. I like it. Think about a tree. Now, a tree don't have a vision, but a tree's purpose is to bring forth fruit, to replenish itself, to constantly do what it's supposed to do in its season. An apple tree knows, okay, it's my season to bear fruit, right? So if you want to say a tree has a vision, or a man is like a tree, it's the same thing. You should always have in your head, well, what is the vision? What is my purpose?
Yeah.
But to accomplish the purpose, what is it that I have to do? How do I accomplish the purpose? Well, some people think, well, I accomplish the purpose by getting a little bit of the water, right? I'm going to fill up, I'm going to get this much water and I'm good. No, but you have to be constantly watering. What happens when this runs out and you leave the water source?
Oh, you're done.
What's going to happen? But a lot of people don't look at it like that. They're like, no, I got this much water. This is going to last me for life. I'm good. So now I can go away from the source and be fine. But then what happens is this runs out and you become unfruitful when it's time. Your purpose, because why? You're not seeing afar off. Where there's no vision, you're not thinking like, wait a minute, how am I going to replenish this? Once I drink it all, or once I give it away, how am I going to fill this back up? There's no thought for that, and that's where the decay comes.
It makes, when you use it like that, I start to think about the 10 virgins, right?
Right.
And you had the 5 that always had that had the oil in their lamps, and you had the 5 that didn't. So when you really think about it, the 5 that had the oil, they always had the oil.
Right.
Because it wasn't like they weren't using it. Every time night came, whatever. If you were living back in those days, you didn't have light bulbs, you didn't have electricity for light. You had to fill your oil to have light. So if you're a wise person, when you see the night is coming, like you were saying about the season, when you see that it's going to be nighttime, you would have that oil ready for nighttime to do what you need to do. When you have the 5 unwise, they know night is coming, but they busy doing something else. They ain't thinking about. They not seeing afar off.
It says a wise man foreseeth the evil. They're not foreseeing that. Wait a minute. When it gets dark and I only got that much oil, how am I going to last through the night? No vision. The people perish. So you know what? I know I need oil, but man, I'm gonna be lazy. I'm gonna be slothful. That's where all this decay comes from. Slothfulness, laziness, not being prepared. It says proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? That proper preparation is, how do I stay ready all the time?
And it's also not preparing for what you know is going to happen, the inevitable. It's just cruising along like, oh, it ain't nothing gonna happen.
Right.
Ain't nothing gonna happen. Like you it's like you gather all the things that you need, but then whenever it's time to put those things into place, you don't use it. So you just crash and burn. It's like a hurricane is coming, right? A hurricane is coming. A hurricane is coming. Oh crap! You gotta go stock up. So you go, you buy your water, you fill your car up with gas, you get your food, you get all that, but you forget to get some candles. So now the electricity is out, you can't even see nothing. So now when it's night, you can't see nothing. It's like you'll forget the most essential thing that you need. You'll stock up on food, you'll stock up on all these things, but you don't stock up on toilet paper. Or you don't stock up on
or some people that say, well, the hurricane's coming, I'll be fine.
Fine.
I ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna just do what I've been doing, which is the bare minimum.
Fine.
But it has your spiritual house been built up to withstand the hurricane. Remember, we went through that where did we go through that on Friday? Was it Friday or Saturday? Building on the foundation and when the
about
rain.
sand.
Yeah, but is your spirit built up enough to withstand the storm? Some brothers and sisters is like, yeah, I'm good. I got enough. Look, see, here it is. I got enough. I got enough water.
Can we get
I got enough, and then when that storm hits and this gets dry, that thirst comes in. It's like, what happened?
Fine.
Because you didn't do your windows get blown out, right? Out the house because of the wind. It get flooded. It's like, well, how come you didn't go out there and put sandbags? How come you didn't board up your windows?
You know what it makes me think about too, and another analogy that you could use is you join the military, right? I think about all these little kids that I be seeing in the mall they finna join the military. And I'm like, okay, so you finna join the military. Why are you joining the military? Oh, I want to serve my country. I want to do all this. But I'm like, you're Issachar. But you're Judah. What are you doing? I don't go too deep into it, but then I'll ask them. I'll be like, okay, so you're finna join the military. If I was to, I'm gonna ask you right now. America is potentially finna go to war with 5 different countries. Name 2 of them. And they can't. So it's like you join the military, which you're finna be a warrior. You're finna go fight a war. That's what your job is. That's what your calling is. But you don't even see that. You don't even understand that America could possibly go to war with Russia, Venezuela, North Korea, Iran, and what's the last one? Possibly China, possibly in Syria. If you was to ask these military kids, okay, where's America? Where's troops? Where's American troops at right now? They wouldn't even be able to tell you. Afghanistan, some's in Syria, some still in Iraq. They wouldn't be able to tell you. So they go and they join up to become this soldier, and they don't even understand what they're really getting themselves into. They don't thoroughly research it. So they go through all the training. They go through all that. They learn how to shoot. They learn how to take care of it. They learn everything that they need to learn. But if they're thrown into a war, it's like, oh crap, I learned everything I was supposed to learn, but damn, I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't even know we was going to go to war with this. I didn't even know this was going to happen.
And I signed up for 3 years and I'm stuck.
It's like I seen this post, man. It was like a meme with like this military cat, this Judite military cat. He's holding his gun and he's next to his Dodge Charger. And he's like, I went through everything in the military for this shit. Slack it. For this Dodge Charger. Because that's like what everybody at the time in the military, that's all they was getting, was just Dodge Chargers.
Man, that sounds so much like my military experience. Like my grandfather, he went into the military as a military police. My great grandfather.
Yeah.
My grandfather went in as well, but I wanted to follow in the same steps, so to speak. So I went in as a military policeman, and 3 years. I served 3 years, and the only thing that I really got out of that was a Dodge Charger that I don't even own anymore. So it's like, man, you know, you set yourself up for a situation that can go either way. But I give all praises to the Most High, because I had a mother that was very, very, very much so like a prayer warrior. I never got to see Afghanistan. I didn't have to. And I enjoyed, for the most part, my experience there. But could I have done something better? Put myself in a better position? Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Go to Acts chapter 14 and verse 22. So why do people, well, I'm not gonna say people, why do brothers and sisters start to decay in the truth? You know, one, we're not seeing it far off. It's like the scripture says, a wise man counted the cost before you build a building, right? You don't count the cost all the way And then even while you're building the building, you're still not counting the costs. You're not keeping up with the things that need to be kept up with. Well, read this, Acts 14:22.
Acts 14:22.
Go ahead.
Confirming the souls of the disciples.
And that word confirming, it's a really dope word that they use in the scripture. Confirming. It's not confirmed. It's confirming. Meaning it's constantly happening. It's constantly happening. It's like driving. You didn't drive, you're driving, which means you're constantly
You're
doing
presently
it.
doing it.
So confirming
Present tense.
the souls of the disciples. So when you choose to become a disciple, when the Most High woke you up, you're like, man, the word agrees with my spirit. This is what I want to do. You're constantly going to be getting confirmed. Every minute, every second of the day.
No, let's use the same word. There's a constant daily confirmation.
Confirmation.
A confirming that should happen every day.
God.
It shouldn't be like, oh, I'm confirmed and then I'm not confirmed. Or I was confirmed 2 days ago, so that's all I need.
God.
There has to be a constant refreshing
God.
daily. Watch. Go ahead. There's one that.
It's like the scripture that talks about when you get the word, it's sweet in your mouth, but when it digests, it becomes bitter in your belly. So when you first find this truth, it's sweet in your mouth. You love it, but you don't realize that. A lot of our brothers and sisters, they don't realize that it's a constant confirmation of your soul. You constantly at war. You're constantly at war against the flesh. You're constantly at war with your mind and trying to get your mind strong to be able to overcome the things that you need to overcome during this journey. Because the scriptures don't tell you. Go ahead.
Confirming the souls of the disciples.
Go ahead.
And exhorting them to continue in the faith.
But why would you have to be exhorted? Why would you have to be exhorted to continue in the faith? You learned about the truth. You're an Israelite. The heaven is for you. You read about the 12 gates, the 12 walls, the city that's going to descend out of heaven, New Jerusalem. That's for you. But you got to be exhorted. But why do you have to be exhorted? Read.
And that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of the Most High.
You got to be exhorted because through much tribulation, you're going to enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So it's not, you just learned it and that's it. But you know that. A lot of us, we know this already. So what will make one's spirit decay? When you know this, you know heaven's for you, you read about New Jerusalem descending from heaven, you know that America's going to be destroyed. You know all these things, so what makes your spirit decay? What makes you start wanting to draw back and start to think that you can't do something when the scripture tells you, I can do all things through Christ? When David fought Goliath, when we marched around, I believe it was Jericho, and shouted and the walls fell.
Yep.
When we defeated giants, Caleb and Joshua. When Pharaoh sunk in the Red Sea. And still to this day, what will make us think that we can't, that the Most High isn't on our side, that we can't do something, and make us want to pull back and make us have this spiritual decay? We're going to go into it.
Can I get one real quick? Go to 1 Corinthians 16 and verse 16 and verse 17. And this is Paul. This is Paul. Now Paul was the head man. He set up all these brothers. Right? But even Paul recognized something that had to be a constant. And a lot of brothers don't see that, and sisters, they don't understand that there's a refreshing that has to be constantly happening. Now you can refresh your spirit on your own through study, but you also refresh your spirit by being around and unity. It says unity is like the precious ointment that runneth down the beard, even Aaron's beard. What does ointment do? Ointment heals. It's a refreshing.
You know what's funny just about the unity thing? You'll be going through what you're going through, and you'll be like, you'll have like a meetup that you have to do, whether in the truth or in the world. You'll be like, man, I don't want to go to this, but You end up going, and then once you go, you're like, oh, I feel better. I'm glad I went. Refreshed.
Unity. Watch. Read 1 Corinthians 16 and verse 17.
I am glad of the coming of Stephanus,
go ahead.
Stephanus, and Fortunatus, and Achaicus.
Right.
For that which was lacking on your part, they have supplied.
Go ahead.
For they have refreshed.
They have did what?
They have refreshed.
They have did what?
Refreshed.
Go ahead.
My spirit and yours.
Yeah, man. They help to do like a little bit of a spiritual maintenance. They refresh the spirit. That unity, that love, that brotherhood, that sisterhood. But see, a lot of spiritual decay happens. Why? Because, and I don't want to jump, but there's a lot of drawing back when the time to draw back is not now. The time to dive in, to be refreshed and help to be maintenanced and maintained spiritually. But brothers and sisters, like, no, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do this on my own. And you pull back from the unity. And that's another reason why you decay. Right? It says in Proverbs.
Iron sharpeneth.
No. Well, it does say iron sharpeneth iron. But Proverbs 18 and verse 1. Right? It says, through desire, a man having separated himself, seeketh and amendeth with all wisdom. But in doing that, there's a type of decay that starts to happen. Your spirit decays, and now you're one-track mind on the wrong thing. So pulling yourself back, that's a hindrance. But being refreshed over and over through the spirit of other brothers and sisters, seeing, because what was it about Stephanus and these other brothers coming and refreshing Timothy? What was it? Go ahead. What was it?
It was like, man, I get to see another brother doing the same thing I'm doing, fighting the same fight I'm fighting, going through the same thing I'm going through.
Thank you. But doing it with joy, with love, with gladness, happy to see you, right? It's that. Like when we go to San Antonio and we see brothers, we be happy as hell. Yeah. And it refreshes us. And I know for sure it refreshes them. They're like, shh, brothers are still fighting. Brothers are still doing it. We get together, have fun. Be up till all 6 hours, 6 o'clock in the morning talking. That's how we do. I remember when brothers used to come out here, bro. Yasha Allah and them. Man, they be at the house 4 or 5. We gotta wake up, hit the mall. We be up 4 or 5 and 6 in the morning talking. Not even caring about the mall because we gonna ride the spirit. We refresh off of brothers' spirits and we refresh each other. It's a maintenance of one another, right? I'm gonna give you one more. Go to 2 Corinthians 7:13, and then we can move on to the next point.
2 Corinthians 7:13.
Right?
Therefore, we were comforted in your comfort.
They were what?
We were comforted in your comfort.
You see, this comfort is part of that spiritual maintenance that keeps the spirit going. We got to be comforted, but how do we get comforted? Well, we do it by one another. I'm comforted in your comforts. I see that you went through something and then the Most High worked for you, so I know He's going to work for me if I'm doing the same purpose. So I'm comforted by seeing you prosper. Well, you got to be around for it. You can't separate yourself. Go ahead.
Yea, and exceedingly the more joy we for the joy of Titus.
Why? Read on.
Because his spirit was refreshed by you all.
You see that? Because the spirit is being refreshed, man. But it's refreshed we refresh one another. We're like a well-oiled ecosystem. Yeah. That if you're feeling down, I'm gonna refresh you. If I'm down, He's gonna refresh me. I'm gonna refresh him. He's gonna refresh him, and we're just gonna refresh one another daily. It should be like that.
Another dope part too about like the refreshing that you have with brothers and sisters. You get to see brothers' strengths and brothers' weaknesses. So it's like we're all fighting our weaknesses.
Oh, I gotta get one more.
But while we're all fighting our weaknesses, you get to see other people doing it as well. So when you see them fighting, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fight too. Or when you see brothers that are strong, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be strong with you too. And it's not like you're doing it for like an eye pleasing or a men pleasing. It's like if you played football and right before the game, you had that little pre-game get hype type session. it's almost like the same thing. When you see a brother like fighting to go through it, you see a brother get blessed, it gets you hyped. It lifts up your spirit.
Well, this is perfect. 2 Timothy 1 and verse 16. Right on your point. And then we can move on. I'm sorry. I'm going to back up. I'm about 2 hours. I can talk all day.
2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 13. Hold fast.
16.
So like verse 16. The Most High give mercy unto the house of one Sepphoris.
Right?
For he oft refreshed me.
He often did what?
Refreshed me.
Read.
And was not ashamed of my chains.
Yeah, he wasn't looking at Paul like, nigga, why you doing this? Why you going through this? He was not. He was confirming the souls of the disciples. He was exhorting him to keep in the faith. Nah, brother, we got to go through this because this is for Christ. We'll die for this. Well, this is what we were called for. He wasn't like, man, why you always broke, Paul? Why you always need something, Paul? Man, you ain't managing your money right. He was like, Con, I know what you're going to do. Look, we're going to do this together. He wasn't ashamed that Paul made himself a prisoner. You see that? That's a cold one. Right? Watch, read verse 17.
Verse 17. But when he was in Rome,
right,
he sought me out very diligently,
right,
and found me.
Right, verse 18.
And the Most High grant unto him that he may find mercy of the Most High in that day.
Right, read.
And in how many things he ministered unto me at Ephesus.
Right, Ephesus. Right.
Thou knowest very well.
Right, and they're showing that, man, this man was seeking out Paul. To what? To help. To keep him, not that Paul needed the motivation like that, because he had his own fire burning, but it's always good when you know you got a man next to you.
Absolutely.
Where his fire is burning and he could actually add a little fire to throw a log in your flame. And you could throw a log in his, but it's that constant refreshing, that constant nourishing, that tree that's planted by that water. Right? Go ahead. That's it on that.
Let's jump to, I actually want to come back to the scripture.
All right.
Later on.
Okay.
But
did you happen to do?
Nah, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Let's go to Colossians chapter 2, verse 9. Colossians chapter 2 and verse 9. So the previous scripture we hit before was the Proverbs 29 and 18, where it says, where there is no vision, the people perish, right? It's Colossians 2 and 19. So what is the vision? What is the overall vision of all the Israelites?
To make it into the kingdom?
That's it. But how do we get into the kingdom? Like, what is the thing we're looking at?
And statues.
The vision is Christ.
God.
It's all that. It's actually going to tell you. Go ahead. Colossians 2:19.
Colossians 2:19.
Go ahead.
And not holding the head, from which all the body by joints.
Oh, it started at 18. I'm sorry.
Colossians 2:18.
Go ahead.
Let no man beguile you.
Oh, actually, go to verse 19.
Colossians 2:19. And not holding the head.
So not holding the head, right? Who's the head?
Yahushua.
Yahushua is the head. So when you lose the vision, you lose the vision of Yahushua. So when you start falling back or drawing back because of the things that you got to go through, because of Romans chapter 8 and verse 35, because the scripture says, I'm fully persuaded that neither tribulation or it goes into it. It names all the things that'll separate you from the love of Christ. So when you start going through those things, you'll lose sight of the vision. And that vision of Christ, you forget that Christ himself went through everything that you're going to go through. You forgot that Christ gave up his family, he gave up his riches, he gave up his I guess his ego, because a lot of us, we don't want to give that up. You know, he despised the shame. When the scripture says he despised the shame, what it's saying is, you know how you'll get shamed? It's like when you first find out about the truth and you come in with full garments, you might not want to step out with your full garments. You're going to be like, oh man, what these people going to think of me wearing that? That's a shame that comes on you. The scripture says that Christ despised that feeling. So a lot of us, we don't want to go through that shame that'll come from being in the truth. Oh, why you wearing a garment? Why your head covered? Why you dress like that? Why you act like that? Why you talk like that? Why you losing? Why you work there? Why you giving up? Why you doing all this? Why on a Friday night, on a Shabbat night, you sitting there, you reading the scriptures, or you watching class, or you going to class, but they're going to the club. They trying to shame you because of that. The scripture says that Christ despised the shame.
Because if not, that would have decayed his spirit.
Kind.
If not, that would have wore him down to the point where he's like, what's the point of fighting? But even in that scripture, it says he despised the shame, look and endured the cross for the joy.
Kind.
Right? For the joy of the kingdom. So he had to have a vision past what was going on presently and understand that I got to go through this. And I can't let the people around me or the situation around me deteriorate me or deteriorate my spiritual motivation to go through what I got to go through. Because that's all it is. That's what deteriorates,
Right.
is your motivation to fight. The motivation to push through. You looking for it? What are you looking for?
Oh, yeah, I was looking for
Is he, that scripture that we just quoted?
No, I was looking for Matthew 26:39. Which one?
Oh no, I didn't want to go anywhere.
No.
But that's what it was. It said he despised the shame and looking towards the joy. Bro, that shame, that's what wears a lot of brothers out too and sisters. Because now you're under that discipline, you're under that chain like Paul. Right? You're that prisoner and you're like, damn, I'm a prisoner, but they're acting like they're free. They're like, come be free with us. Why are you a prisoner to something that you can't even see? You start to let that deteriorate your spirit, and it deteriorates your drive to push forward. It wears you down, and now you don't want to fight.
I'm actually holding. Read verse 19 again.
And not holding the head, from which all the body by joints and bands having nourishment ministered.
Well, see, that's where you get all the nourishment, is by holding on to the head. You got to hold on to Christ, man. The same way Jacob wrestled that angel, the same way Jacob was wrestling that angel and he would not let go until he got his blessings, the same way that you got to hold on to the head of Christ. Just got to hold on, man. Because that's the only way that you get your nourishment. Because if you ain't getting nourished, then you're decaying. If you're not getting nourished, then you're getting decayed. So if you're not holding on to Christ, if you're not holding on to the head, then you're starting to decay. Your mind is somewhere else. You're starting to think about something else. That drive, that zeal, it's starting to fade. When the only drive and zeal that we have is the scripture, is the scriptures. Is obtaining. The only thing that should really make us happy is when we know that, man, we obtained something in the spirit. And the Most High gave us a blessing. But that's what the drive is, and that's what the nourishment is. Read verse 19 from the top.
Colossians 2:19. And not holding the head, from which all the body by joints and bands having nourishment ministered, and knit together, increaseth with the increase of the Most High.
And one thing about the increasing of the Most High, right? When you increase for the Most High, it's not like, but it's an increasement for everything. That's how the Most High said it. If you want to increase, you got to sacrifice to increase.
Yep.
When back in the day when you planted your vineyard, or you had your cattle, you had whatever you had to give the Most High his sacrifice, and then the Most High will bless your substance. So if you want to increase, you got to give some form of sacrifice. You got to put in some form of work. That's just how the Most High said it. So when you're holding on to the head, which is Yahweh Shai, you understand that you're going to have to do some work to get the increase. You're going to have to do some sacrifice to get the increase.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain.
You want to be a spiritual ninja, you got to get in the spirit.
Done.
Late night work.
Done. And that's the thing. It says increase and increase. So that's you being nourished. You feeding a baby with milk, she's getting nourished, or he's getting nourished. You see him grow. You see him changing. That's that increasing. But that should be our spirits daily. That should be what keeps us going, man. When you look at all these, we look at these athletes that chase the damn corruptible corruptible piece of metal that when they win, they kiss on it after everybody done touched it. When you look at them, every day they're trying to increase, they're trying to get better. Why not us do the same in the spirit? That's what's going to keep our zeal and our fire burning. I seen this thing where James Harden, he's doing a one-legged three-pointer now. He's doing a one-legged three-pointer, but that's him trying to increase. It's corruptible. It's a carnal thing, but he's at least he's trying to increase in something. But what are we doing in the truth? What are we doing in for the Most High's work? Are we trying to increase? Am I setting goals like, you know what? I'm right here. I want to be right here next year. I'm right here right now. In the next month or two, I want to get this accomplished. Am I increasing? Am I trying to, or am I just staying still, staying put, just going with the flow of things? That's not what the Most High wants.
Yeah, we should be abounding more and more. We should be abounding more and more day and day. You should get stronger every day. It shouldn't be decreasing.
Yeah.
Every day you should be increasing.
Or you come to a point where you're supposed to be adding another talent, and you just, that's it. You can't move forward. You don't want to do that either. Read verse 20.
Wherefore, if ye be dead with Christ from the rudiments of the world.
And that's how you're going to increase. Because if you're not increasing in the truth, you're not dead with Christ. You're not dead from these rudiments. You're not dead from the things that the world has to offer. Because you're not looking onto Christ. You're looking at the things that the world has to offer. You're not 100% dead from it yet. There's still something that has a pull. There's something that you haven't let go of all the way that's not making you run as fast as you need to. Go ahead.
Why? As though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinances?
Yeah, he said we shouldn't be subject to the things that the world offers. We said we shouldn't be subject, because what is the ordinance of the world? How would that affect you pertaining to the topic? We're talking about your spirit increasing, but if your spirit's not increasing, what is it that you're not dead to? That rudiment of the world. As though living in the world, are you subject to ordinances? What is that ordinance of the world that you're subject to? Just getting y'all to think. Because if you're supposed to be abounding spiritually, but you're not, then what is it that's stopping you from abounding spiritually?
Faith.
It's that, but
What are the ordinances of the world? When it says the ordinance of the world, what are those things that can hold a spiritual man back?
Oh, pursuing your happiness. Like,
I want to pursue the happiness, and I know everything that shines ain't right. Yeah, you pursue your own dreams. The ordinance of the world says pursue your own dreams.
yeah.
Right? Do everything opposite of the scriptures, and you'll be prosperous and successful. Right? The ordinances of the world, but what does that do? Watch. Go to Hebrews. Now we can hit this Hebrews 12. It's perfect. Hebrews 12 and 2.
Did I set up the alley-oop?
You set up the alley-oop, the alley-ooper. Go to Hebrews 12 and 2, and verse 3 is the killer.
I'm Jason Kidd.
God.
He's Jason Kidd, and I'm Amari Stoudemire. Go ahead.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2.
Read.
Looking unto Yahweh
Go
Shai,
ahead.
the author and finisher of our faith,
Read.
who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross.
Right, so instead of looking at the cross, he looked at the joy after the cross. Go ahead, read on.
Con. Who for Salakia, despising the shame.
He did what?
Despising the shame.
Go ahead.
And is set down at the right hand of the throne of the Most High.
Read verse 3. This is the key.
For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners.
Wait, he did what?
Endured such contradiction.
Because the ordinance of the world is contradiction.
Yeah.
It's contrary to the scriptures. So he said, Paul said, he said, consider him that endured such contradiction.
Yeah.
Right? Because what is it about an Israelite in the world? Well, the world is like, yeah, you ain't the real Israelites. The white boys are. Oh, why you wearing that nappy beard? Why you wearing them nappy braids? Why you wearing them raggedy clothes? Why you working at that oil cart? Why you come to class? Why you do this? Why you talk to your woman like that? Sis, why you follow him? Why you make your, why do you submit to a husband? Right? The ordinance of the world is contradiction to the wisdom. Go ahead.
Come. Despising the shame.
Come on, read verse 3.
For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself.
Read.
Lest ye be weary.
Lest you be what?
Lest ye be weary.
Lest you start to wither. Go ahead.
And faint in your mind.
And fade away. You see that? It said, consider Yahweh Shai. That went through the contradiction of all the world against what he came to do. Right. Consider him and look how he walked, or else you're going to wither away and fade in your mind. But how did Yahweh Shai walk? Well, his mind was always towards the Most High. I came not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. I'm not here to do my own thing. I'm here to do the Most High's work. Right. So he kept on that mind state, and he didn't wither away. He didn't faint when the world came up against him. He didn't faint when the world came up against him in his mind. He didn't faint away and, oh, I gotta go die? Damn, well, I'm gonna wither away before time. Nah, he just looked past the cross and looked at the joy, but that's how we gotta approach.
You know, like even with that, this is a scripture I was gonna hit actually. Go to Matthew chapter 26 and 39. Matthew 26 and 39.
Right. And Mustafa said it, do as thou wilt. the world is, the ordinance of the world, there is no ordinances. It's just do as thou wilt. Do what makes you feel good, taste it, touch it, stick it, rub it, flip it, pass it to the homeboy. Right? There ain't no fun if the homies can't get none. That's what the world is about. What the Bible says is taste not, touch not, handle not. Right? That's what the scriptures say. But the world, that's why it says to be carnal minded is enmity with God. But to be spiritual minded is life and peace. Because there's going to be a war. There's going to be an opposite. Enmity is war. What you got?
You know, just on the point that you were making about him knowing that he was going to pass, right?
Right.
And him going through it. You know what's so dope about that is this. Read the Matthew chapter 26 and verse 39. And then read Hebrews, and then Jermaine give me Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 15.
Matthew chapter 26, verse 39.
Go ahead.
And he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Because
this is the thing, man. When you wanna obtain something from the Most High, He's gonna put you through something for you to obtain it. It's like Abraham and Sarah, right? They wanted kids. Most High told them, "I'm gonna make you a nation." Most High had him wait till he was 99. He had to have faith just for him to have Isaac. And then when Isaac came, Most High was like, sacrifice him. Most High was like, sacrifice him. So this is the thing. When you want to obtain something, the Most High, He puts things in front of you. And you got to overcome it to obtain it. So Christ, what did Christ have to overcome? The cross.
The shame, and even the shame before the cross. The pulling of his beard, the spitting on him, the kicking him out of city to city for the whole 3 years. Like when he went city to city, he wasn't just sitting there kicking it with people. The Pharisees was on his neck the whole time. Right. Then they were running him out of the cities, right? The multitude would come, multitude would leave. He had to put up with, okay, it's just going to be us 12. There's 5,000 people only came to eat. They only came for the fish and the loaves, right? But y'all are here for the word, so I guess it's going to be us. That could have wore him down, where people would come and people would go. And not stick around to get the message. He didn't let that wear him down. All those things. The Son of Man have no place to lay his head. The foxes have holes, the birds have nests. Right? But the Son of Man have no place to lay his head. That could have worn him down.
Yeah.
And he was like, nah, we got to keep trucking. We got to keep pushing, right?
Fine. But even on this, right? Read verse 39 from the top. Because you're gonna see a part. You're gonna see a point right here where Christ could have just. You could see he's going through it. He's going through the battle, but he could have just decayed till he died, or he could have stayed strong and overcome. Go ahead. Verse 39 from the top.
And he went a little farther.
Go ahead.
And fell on his face.
Go ahead.
And prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me."
Because that's how we are sometimes, man. When you start going through them trials and them tribulations and the things that come with being an Israelite, confirming the souls of the disciples that through much tribulation we shall enter into the kingdom. When you start going through it, you're like, man, Yahweh, let this cup pass from you. Let it be gone. But the thing is that those instances right there is what makes or breaks you. It can either break you all the way, where like you literally just become decayed.
You just give up.
You give up.
And all this show was that Yahweh Shai was a man.
And
subject to all manner of temptation and weakness, just like any man.
Done.
The whole thing is, though, he didn't get. That's where you're going?
Done.
Yeah, that's perfect. Go there. Hebrews, right? Hebrews 5?
7:19.
Yeah.
Go to Hebrews chapter 7, verse 19.
Yep, that's perfect. Let the Bible talk.
Hebrews 7, verse 19.
Go ahead.
For the law made nothing.
Slide.
Was that, you want that 4:15?
It was Hebrews 4, right?
Oh yeah, the wind blew it. It's 4:15. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hebrews 4.
Hebrews 4:15.
Go ahead.
For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities.
And that's the thing, man. Yahweh Shai is our high priest that went through the same things that we went through. The same battles, the same temptations, the same trials and tribulations. He's been through them. And that's what, man, Rakatah Yahweh, that's what's so cold about it. So when you get weak in your mind, Yahweh Shai got weak in his mind. We read about it just now in Matthew 26 and 39. He said, Father, if this cup pass not from me, then let thy will be done. I'm gonna do your will either way. But it's showing, man, it's showing two things. One, what Yahweh Shai went through, and two, it's showing also his mercy that he has on us. Because he went through it just like we did. He's showing the example and he's showing his mercy. He's showing the proper example because he went through it just like we all are going to go through it. And not wither away and not decay and not die and not want to get plugged back into the matrix. But it's also showing Christ's mercy because he's been through it. So he's up there with you. He's fighting with you. He's right there alongside of you fighting.
Wow, finish it up.
But was in all points tempted.
No. He was never tempted.
But was in all points.
No, he was an angel.
But was in all points.
Go ahead.
Tempted like as we are, yet without sin.
And that's why I said there's no temptation common to man, uncommon to man.
Fine.
Right? Every temptation that you feel, guess what? Yahweh Shai felt. But what was his mind on? Well, let me not spiritually break down in this time where I'm going to go over the hump. He climbed this hill. He got to the pinnacle. He could have just said, you know what, let me go back down the hill real quick. Let me go back ways. He said, no, I'm going to just go over the hump, man. A lot of us get to the pinnacle and look over and we're like, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. You get to the point where you're like, nah, the temptation overtakes you and you draw back.
Right.
But he pushed forward, not letting us stay. What he did, he stayed connected to the Most High.
Right.
Like that tree planted by the water.
Yep.
He stayed connected to the Father. Think about it. What was he doing in his weak time? Was he bitching and crying and getting emotional?
Wow.
Instead, he did what? Verse 39 said in Matthew's, it said he prayed.
Right.
He prayed to the Most High. He didn't get weak, go to the apostles, man, my daddy got me doing this, what the hell?
Yep.
Nah, he prayed to the Father. He stayed connected to the wisdom, to the one thing that brought him to the pinnacle, and the one thing that was going to get him over the hump. That's what he stayed connected to.
Right.
So even on that cross, think about it, going through the whippings, getting on the cross, he could have easily just gave up the ghost and withered away spiritually.
Yeah.
But what kept him going? It was the Spirit. Right? It was the Spirit. Go ahead.
We're gonna jump to
Start juicing and start.
go to John chapter 6 and verse 63, and then another brother give me 2 Peter chapter 1 and 4.
Right. St. John 6:63. I'll read it. It's the Spirit that quickeneth.
Kind.
The flesh profiteth nothing.
The flesh profits nothing, man. What is your flesh gonna gain from you going through the things that we go through? Absolutely nothing. Your flesh is the one that suffers, and that's what you want. You want your flesh to suffer.
But what keeps the flesh going when the flesh gets weak? What kept Yahweh Shai going when he got weak and fell on his face and prayed to the Most High and begged him, take this cup? The Spirit pushed him.
Yeah.
The Spirit that he was connected to, he stayed connected to that water, to that wisdom, to the Most High. And the Spirit quickened him and pushed him,
Kind.
refreshed him in that moment. Right?
Kind.
Like it says, the Spirit maketh the Spirit intercession for our infirmities.
Kind.
Yeah, that's what it was about. Let me stay spiritually connected. Go ahead. It's the Spirit that quickeneth.
Go ahead.
The flesh profiteth nothing.
Go ahead.
The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
Spirit in their life, man. But how their spirit in their life? Just look at what Christ went through. Look at all the apostles. Look at all the brethren in the scriptures. Look at Joseph being sold into slavery. Look at how he kept his mind on point and how he overcame. Look at David being chased by his son. Look at Judas Maccabees. Look at Daniel being thrown in the pit with the lions and the fire. I mean, the list goes on. Look at Abraham. The list can go on, man. Jacob.
Noah had to deal with the contradiction of sinners.
God.
He could have fainted in his mind. He could have been like, man, yeah, y'all right, man. This ark thing, it ain't never rained. So y'all right. I'm going to just give up. I'm going to faint in the spirit.
God.
I'm going to just give up and just not fight and just decay. And the next thing you know, he went from building the ark to being a drunkard just like them and partying and kicking it. He would have washed away just like them. But he had to stay maintenance every time he went. He did what? He went and he spoke to the Most High. Tells you, he went and inquired of the Lord. Stay connected to, like that tree planted. Stay connected to the wisdom, connected to the Most High.
God. Go to 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 4. Because it's the spirit that profiteth, right? The flesh profiteth nothing. So what are the things that the spirit profits? And for you to gain the things that the spirit profits, that makes your spirit profitable, the Most High leads you through different things. Go ahead. 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 4.
2 Peter chapter 1 verse 4. Whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises,
Go ahead.
that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature.
So listen, we're given great and precious promises, and we all want to partake in the divine nature. Come on, man. We all be cracking jokes about what we gonna be doing in the kingdom.
I ain't
To
joking.
Esau.
I ain't joking. Ain't no joke for me.
I'm not really joking either. I don't think y'all want to hear some of the jokes that I have. Well, not jokes, but things that I'm gonna be doing in the kingdom.
Some of the visions.
Some of the visions. But we all have these, right? We all have these. We all want to partake in that divine nature. We all want to get our payback for what's been done to us. The big thing that's going on right now is that it's the 400 years. I forgot the exact date, but I guess we just made the date or something like that.
Yeah, 1619 to 2019, 400 years.
I guess the month and the day though, because I saw it on the
it's
news.
the 20th.
So
20th of the month.
we just made that. So we know about all the prophecies and everything that's going to be coming to pass in the near future. So we all want to be partakers of this divine nature. But how do we get to be partakers of the divine nature? Read.
Having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust.
And this is the thing. We escape the corruption that's in the world through lust. Why? Because your flesh be lusting for that corruption. Your flesh lusts for it. Your flesh lusts for the big booty, for the big boobs, and your flesh doesn't lust for the modest spirit that a lady would carry. It lusts for the things that your eyes see.
It lusts to be slothful. It lusts to be prideful. It lusts to be hateful. It lust to be filled, your belly to be filled, all the
Right.
dainty things, all the feel good things. I want to just feel good.
Right.
I want to feel good.
But that's the thing. Those are the things that take you away from the divine nature. So how do you get this divine nature? Those are the things that decays your spirit. But how do you nourish your spirit to the point where you make your entrance sure? Like we're gonna read at the end of this book. Go ahead, verse 5.
And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue.
So now we got the faith. We came into the truth. We got faith. We're Israelites. So now you add to your faith virtue, which is righteousness. So you add righteousness now to your faith. Go ahead.
And to virtue knowledge.
To virtue knowledge. Now you understand how to do righteousness correctly. Because you learn the laws. The only way you can be righteous is by following the laws of the Most High. So now you got the knowledge of the law. So now you're righteous. Go ahead.
And to knowledge temperance.
But see, this is where brothers start to decay. It's because now with that knowledge, wisdom makes you accountable. You don't want to be tempered. You don't want to be tempered. You don't want to temper your lust. You don't want to temper your slothfulness. You don't want to temper your mind. Temper your way of thought. Temper your carnal desires. You don't want to temper anything. You want to still dip and dabble in the flesh. So it's all fine and dandy. You got the faith. You learn you're an Israelite. Hooray, 12 tribes, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, all the way down. You got all that. When you start learning how to be righteous, I'm going to wear a head wrap. I'm going to put fringes in all my clothes. All my clothes. I'm going to be reading the scriptures, but not applying anything. So you get the virtue. You start to be righteous. You start to get the knowledge. But then the knowledge is where, after the knowledge is where the work comes. Because now you got to use that knowledge. You got to get tempered. You got to be dipped in the fire, pulled out the fire, beaten with the iron to be shapen into a battle axe or a sword that the Most High can use you for. You don't want to go through that temperance.
To temper, it says the constitution of the body, disposition of the mind, the constitution of the mind, particularly with regard to the passions and affections. As a calm temper, hasty temper, fretful temper, this is this is applicable to beasts as well as men.
Right.
Remember with what mild and gracious temper he both heard and judged. Calmness of mind, moderation, heat of mind or passions, irritation.
Right.
Yep, irritability. Check this out. The state of a metal, particularly as it's to its hardness. Metal curse me. Right. So y'all see that, right? The state of mind, like being tempered, your temperament.
Right.
You're not over emotional, you're not over rational, you're not over excited. You're moderate in your thinking, calm.
Right.
Right?
And that's the thing, man. That's what we don't want to go through, and that's where that decaying process starts. That's where it says that the book is sweet in your mouth, but when it goes into your belly, it becomes bitter. Because you realize I can't do what I want to do. I can't be how I want to be. I can't walk, talk, think, dress, eat. I can't do what I want to do. You got to become tempered. It's a scripture of Wisdom of Solomon I was looking for where it says that you had to
What does that?
reform your mind.
Their hearts were reformed? It's Wisdom of Solomon, it's 9, I believe. Wisdom of Solomon,
Oh, it's actually.
for the ways of them which live on the earth were reformed.
Oh, that's it.
Wisdom of Solomon 9, 18.
Somebody get that? Wisdom of Solomon 9:18.
I'll read it. What? You got it?
Wisdom of Solomon 9:18.
And this is the temperance. This is what we don't want to go through. Go ahead.
For so the ways of them which lived on the earth were reformed. And
Start at verse 17.
verse 17. And thy counsel, who hath known,
Go ahead.
except thou give wisdom,
Go ahead.
and sent thy Holy Spirit from above.
Go ahead.
For so the ways of them which lived on the earth were reformed.
And this is the thing. We don't want to reform. Our minds, we do not want to reform our minds, man. So because of that, you wither away. You come to a point, come to a certain point, and then you just wither away. It's like when you had that rich young man that came to Christ and was like, I followed the laws from my youth up. I did it. What more do I need? I'm perfect. I done did it. Yahweh Shai is like, okay, so all you haven't followed me. But then he went away very sorrowful because he had great possessions. He didn't want to sell all that he had and give it to the poor. He didn't want his mind to be reformed. So what happened? He decayed. His spirit decayed. He withered away. All the commandments that you follow don't mean nothing. It means nothing. Go ahead.
And men were taught the things that are pleasing unto thee.
Because when your mind gets reformed, that's pleasing unto the Most High. What does the Most High require? A broken spirit and a contrite heart. Your mind got to be able to be molded, man. Yahweh Shai said, unless a man come like a kid, I'm butchering the scripture, but unless a man come like a child, yeah, he's not going to go into he's not going to get to see heaven. So unless a man won't come like a child, you got to have like a child mind, man, willing to learn.
That pure outlook.
Pure outlook.
Pure mind state.
If you don't got that, man, you're not going to make it. But you need that pure outlet to be able to be tempered, to be able to be changed from one thing to another thing. It's like you were this piece of gold. We were all this trash piece of gold. And we got put in the fire and we got burned and we got melted down, and now the Most High is fashioning us into a better looking gold, into something that's actually useful. And that's what the temperance is. Go back to 2 Peter's hit 1 and 6.
2 Peter's 1 verse 6.
Go ahead.
And to knowledge, temperance.
And after temperance, go ahead.
And to temperance, patience.
So after temperance, patience. Because you need patience to go through the phase of being temperate. You got to have patience while you go through it. Because if you don't got patience, if you don't have patience, what's going to happen? You're going to turn away. You ain't going to go through the process. You're not going to finish. Go ahead.
And to patience, godliness.
Go ahead.
And to godliness, brotherly kindness.
Go ahead.
And to brotherly kindness, charity. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach.
And listen, it says, if these things are in you, you won't be barren or unfruitful. So you'll literally be that tree. So that tree that's by the rivers of water, that's constantly getting nourished. What is that tree? That tree is you. What are you nourishing yourself with? It's the constant phase of having faith, then virtue, then knowledge, then temperance, then patience, then godliness, then brotherly kindness, then charity. It's the constant phase of getting these things and getting better at these things and applying them to where it becomes second nature. Like how you breathe, you just breathe and you don't even know it. Next thing you know, you got virtue, you got godliness, temperance, patience, brotherly kindness, charity. It's just a part of you. It's like when you breathe. You don't even know it. Go ahead. Verse 9.
Verse 9. But he that lacketh these things is blind.
But if you lack these things, you're blind. A self-examination, man. And if you're blind, then you can't see.
And when you can't see,
If you can't see, then
but there's no vision, the people perish.
people perish.
God. Yep.
This part where it says, but he that lacketh these things is blind, it remind me of like these young cats. Not necessarily young cats, but they be like, when you don't see what they're talking about, like, oh, you sleep. You sleep. So it's
sleep.
It's like the same thing. It's like,
Sleep, son.
all right.
Sleep.
You sleep, man.
It's so cool how the scriptures work, because if you know anything, especially in the conscious community, if you know anything, they like, you woke.
Right.
You woke, you deep. But now, what really makes you woke and what really makes you deep is these things, man. These things that make you have godliness, brotherly kindness, and charity. Go ahead, bro.
Come on. And cannot see afar off.
And that's the thing. We don't be looking afar off. Go ahead.
And have forgotten that he was purged from his old sins.
Go ahead.
Wherefore, the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure.
So when it says wherefore the rather, it's talking about the things that it was talking about before it started going into you being blind and all that. So it's saying, instead of being the blind that can't see afar off, that forgot that he was purged of his old sins, instead of being like that, be the rather that had the virtue, that had the faith and the virtue and the patience and the godliness and the temperance and all these things. Instead of being the blind, be that. Go ahead.
For if ye do these things,
Read
ye
verse
shall...
on the top.
Verse 10?
Yes, sir.
Wherefore, the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure.
Because when you do those things, you make your calling and your election sure. So guess what? That divine nature that we want, where it's like Donald Trump is, you get to walk Donald Trump is, you just get to walk him like a dog, you know? Like President Bush, you get to walk him like a dog. You ever be seeing those people that got the little leashes, got like 4 dogs just walking them? That's what you get to do. You want to be able to do something like that in the kingdom for everything that you done went through during slavery and even now. You want that divine nature. So it says that if you do these things, you'll make your calling and your election sure.
Yeah, because in doing these things, you know, what is it about? What is it about? What is it about virtue, knowledge, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, and charity? What is it about these things that make your election sure?
One is it's the fruits of the spirit.
Right?
You know, that's you're bearing good things. You're doing things that are selfless.
Right?
So,
but let me ask you this: what happens to the brothers that did all these things, but they're not around anymore? They did it. What makes them different from the ones that stay around?
They lost the juice. They lost the faith.
Well, they stopped doing the things that make you abound because they were like, well, I was charitable. So there's a level to charity. There's a level to brotherhood, godliness, and brotherhood. It don't stop. There's not a cap.
Right.
When you hit a certain rank, or you've been in a certain amount of years, like, yeah, I've been in 15 years, my charity stops. Like, nigga, what are you talking about? That's when it's supposed to increase. Right? There's no cap to these things. Right? That's why every day, you should be adding and perfecting and tempering these things in you. But every day you're put in a position to temper your charity, temper your patience, temper your godliness. And either you pass the test or you don't. And either you start to abound more and more, or you start to fall back more and more. But if these things be in you, but not just in you for the moment, in you always, and always being worked. Remember, Paul said it, we die daily. He said, I die daily, man. So what's in him is dying daily. Well, the old man and the will and the want to not do these things is dying daily. Because Paul gave himself daily. Made himself an example daily. But now we're seeing that what stops a man from prospering and abounding, and what stops and what brings on the decay, when you stop looking at the daily ministration, when you stop looking at the daily goal, when you stop being available daily, you start to draw back. Well, I already did the charity thing. I already gave myself. I already did the brotherhood thing. When you start saying the brotherhood thing and the charity thing, like, yeah, I already did that thing. What? So your charity got a limit? Push it to the limit. Boom, charity limit. Done. Right? Brotherhood limit. Done. There ain't no such thing as a limit. They got to keep going. Go ahead.
Reverse. Go ahead.
For if you do these things, ye shall never fall.
That's the thing, man. You'll never fall. You'll never decay. Go to Ecclesiastes 7 and 8, Proverbs 4 verse 18. I'm gonna hit these three really quick.
I'll read Proverbs.
Ecclesiastes
7 and 8. You can get Ecclesiastes 7 and 8, Proverbs 4 and 18, and then Jermaine, give me 1 Thessalonians 4:10.
We'll repeat them again for y'all online.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 8.
Go ahead.
Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof.
And that's the thing, man. Like, you started off good. Like, you shouldn't decay. I'm gonna read this real quick. I was gonna read it at the end, but I'm gonna just throw it in because it goes with it. It's Galatians 5 and 7. It says, ye did run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth?
Foolish Galatians, yep.
This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. Because you'll run well. You'll be doing your thing. Spirit's with you, you float in the spirit. But then you start to get hindered. And that hindrance, it starts to make you draw back. But this is the thing. You were supposed to run and keep running well and keep getting better. So read your scripture again, Major.
Come. Better is the end, Salaki. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 8.
Go ahead.
Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof.
Because listen, when you start something, the end of it should always be better. So if you came in one way, you're supposed to be better. You're not supposed to decay. You're not supposed to rot. You're not supposed to get worse. So if you're getting worse, what's going on? Go ahead.
Come. And the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit.
Go ahead. All right. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 18.
Proverbs 4 verse 18.
Go ahead.
But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day.
It's more and more unto the perfect day. There's no cap. No cap. Just like Patazar was saying. No cap. 1 Thessalonians 4 and 10, Jermaine.
You said 1 Thessalonians
4 and 10.
4 and 10. Come on.
And then we're gonna go to 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 13.
I didn't see that.
And indeed, ye do it toward all the brethren which are in all Macedonia.
Go ahead.
But we beseech you, brethren, that ye increase more and more.
So every day, man, what should be your mindset? Let me increase in the spirit more and more. What can I do for Yahweh Shai today? What can I do for Yahweh Shai or Yahweh every day? Yahweh Shai and the Most High every day. What can I do for Christ and the Most High every day? How can I increase? How can I catch his attention? More and more.
Well, it starts with not losing grasp. Remember, it said grab onto the head, right?
Done.
Which is Yahweh Shai. You can't lose grasp of the goal. You can't lose that grip on, you know how they say, get a grip? Get a grip on reality? Well, this is the reality of the situation. The reality is not what the world told you it was, like grip onto a paycheck and grip onto the ordinances of the world, because those are a contradiction. You got to grip onto what Christ did, what Yahweh Shai did. We got to grab onto that. Get a grip, nigga. Get a grip. You got to get a grip on reality. This is our reality. This is our stability. Hold on to Yahweh Shai and root yourself. That's first and foremost. So get a grip. Don't let go of the grip. Don't loosen your grip. Who shall separate you from the love of Christ? All the things that you're going to go through, he brought you here to go through them, but he's going to go through them with you. So you can't lose your grip, and then you can't look at the things you're going through anyway. Look past them. I ain't looking at y'all, I'm looking past you, right? I'm not looking at the trials and tribulations. I'm looking at the joy that's set before me, right? And it's sat down at the right hand of the Father. That's how you got to really program your mind.
Yes, sir.
If you got to program your mind for the end game, it's the long game, but it's the end game. But then you got to have short goals to achieve, to get you to that end game. It's like pool. You play pool, you don't just hit the 8-ball and then win. You lose, right? You don't just, it's over. No, you got to have a short game, a long game to get to that end game.
Done.
But it's about goals and steps.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
2 Peter's 3 and 13, and then Revelations 3 and 15.
2 Peter chapter 3, verse 13.
Go ahead.
Come. And shall receive the reward.
Slot. 2 Timothy's 3 and 13. I'm sorry.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 13.
And then Revelations 3 and 15.
But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse.
So if you're getting worse and worse, something's wrong, man. Go ahead.
Deceiving and being deceived.
You're deceiving yourself. You're deceiving yourself, and you're being deceived.
But why though? What makes them worse and worse? Well, because I forgot that charity got to keep going.
Yep.
I forgot that brotherhood has to keep going. Godliness. I got to stop putting myself first and put myself last.
Okay.
Like all these things have to abound in me. If these things abound, then you will not be fruitless or barren.
Okay.
Right? But evil men that wax worse and worse, what are they waxing in? What are they abounding in? It's all about self. It's all about what I feel at the time. You know, I don't want to go through this. I don't have to be here. I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to do this. That's what makes us wax worse and worse. Again, when you lose sight of even the littlest thing, you know, and why you do the small things. It's the small things that we do that, and there's a lot of little small things that build up to a big thing. Think about your job. You got a lot of small things that you do that give you an overall job description, right? You're going to print the paper, you're going to get the coffee, you're going to refill the printer, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You're an office manager. You're going to send an email, right? It's not just, you're an office manager, but what are the little small detailed jobs that you do to qualify you as an office manager? Well, you got to do what the job description entitles, right? So, what is the job description entitled for us to get to the kingdom? Well, you got to do this: brotherhood, charity, love, peace, joy, study, maintain yourself, right? Spiritual maintenance is all these little small things. Be selfless, right? Have a good conscience towards the Most High. Don't be double-minded. Don't lose focus. Don't lose sight, right? It's all these small jobs that you got to stay on to say, you know what? You're qualified for the kingdom. But that's why it says, any man that put his hand to the plow and look back, he ain't qualified for the kingdom. Because you're not doing the small jobs within that work, whatever that work may be, whatever that plow consists of. You're like, yeah, I don't see why that's necessary. Well, it's necessary because you got to show selflessness. Brothers got to see that. Or it's necessary because you got to be an example of charity. Or you got to be an example of long suffering. Or you got to be an example of humility. But I don't see why that's necessary. Well, you're not qualified. You see that? So it's all these small jobs that make up, well, now we're qualified for the kingdom. Then it's a bunch of other things, you know. If you're a man, it's one thing. If you're a woman, it's another thing. Y'all get this?
Come on.
Where we at?
Verse 14.
Verse 14. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of.
And just like he was saying, man, those small things that we learned and that we were doing, you'll wax worse and worse when you stop doing it. Go ahead.
Because where does the assurance come in?
You keep doing it.
When you keep doing it,
yeah.
But you were assured of it because you saw somebody else do it.
Right.
So you were like, oh, that works. Oh, yeah, we can have a business, right? Brothers can have a business and work in unity and sustain our families and not have to go work for the white man and blah, 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 blah. It works because you've been doing it for 5, 10 years. He's been doing it for 20 years. He's been doing it for 15 years, right? So when new brothers come, they're like, oh, yeah, that does work. I don't have to separate and go be over here and then be mad because I got to go work for the devil. Because you see the example of unity and brotherhood and charity and giving yourself and striving day by day and constant maintenance. You see that it does work.
Right.
Go ahead.
Knowing of whom thou hast learned them.
Go to Revelations 3:15.
Revelations 3 verse 15.
Then Deuteronomy 28 and verse 47.
I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou work, quote, I would thou work.
Read it one more time.
I would thou, is that worked?
Words? Yeah.
Yeah.
Worked,
Start from the
cold,
top.
or hot.
Yeah, start from the top.
Okay. I know thy, Revelations 3:15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot.
And this is one of the things too, man. Like, this is one way that you get worse and worse, because you'll get to a certain point where you're supposed to overcome. You're supposed to add that talent, or you're supposed to get better because the Most High is requiring it from you. He's requiring that fruit. Just like when Christ came to the fig tree and he wanted some figs, and the tree had no figs, but it was time for the tree should have had some figs. Why? It would have been time for the tree to be bearing fruit. So when Christ comes to you to be bearing fruit, and you gotta obtain this fruit, you gotta obtain this talent, but you don't want to obtain the talent, you'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna just keep coasting along. I don't gotta get that. I don't gotta gain that. I don't gotta do that.
What do you make yourself become? Think about it. I go to a fig tree to get figs to eat.
Yeah.
And you ain't got no figs in it's fig season. What is that tree?
It ain't good for nothing but wood.
It's useless.
Yep.
It's firewood.
Yeah.
You're firewood. You're the placeholder.
Because you're not even worthy of being a wood for a house. Because, you know, there's like the trees of Lebanon, the cedars of Lebanon. Those are something for a house. But if
This
you're a
fig tree, you are made to bring forth fruit
yeah.
for a man to walk up and pick a fig.
Yeah.
You're not fulfilling your purpose.
Kind.
So you're not even good enough to be firewood. You just hewn down and cast into a fire.
Kind.
You see how that works? Go ahead, where we at?
Go ahead.
Verse 16.
Verse 15 from the top.
Verse 15. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou work, cold or hot.
Because listen, man, if something's cold, then at least you got use for it. It's like some ice cream. I got use to it. I want my ice cream cold. It's like my drink. I prefer my drink cold. My food, I prefer my food hot. But you don't want some lukewarm ice cream. You don't want some lukewarm. Yeah, you don't want a lukewarm milk. You want your stuff to be either cold or hot, because then you got use for it. If you're hot in the truth, doing the work, you're zealous, you're getting stuff done. If you're cold, you make it easy. Christ said, whatever you do it quickly. So if you're cold,
Yeah, lukewarm milk tastes sour and you spew that out. Nobody drinks that.
yeah,
But what it's showing, it's a double mind. You
Right.
riding the fence. Ain't no riding the fence. Ain't no gray area.
yeah.
Like, one day I'm on this side, then the next minute I'm cold, and the next minute I'm hot, and I'm on fire over here, but then now I don't know what happened. I just lost the flame. The Most High is like, bro, pick one. You gonna be cold or you gonna be hot. You gonna keep that fire burning or you gonna just be put out. But you can't ride the fence and 1 minute you in and 1 minute you out. He don't mess with that. He spew you out of his mouth. Read.
Verse 16. So then, because thou art lukewarm,
Right, you like that sour room temperature milk. Go ahead.
and neither cold,
And you're not cold. You're not, because think about it. You can drink warm. You drink hot milk, right?
Yeah.
Or warm milk with honey.
Right.
But you don't let milk sit there room temperature. You'll warm it up in the stove or in the microwave, throw that little honey in there, and you'll sip it down. Boom. Or if it's cold, you'll drink it. Boom. But who's really drinking milk that's been sitting out 8 hours? Room temperature. Nah. Go ahead.
and neither cold nor hot,
Right? You neither cold nor what?
nor hot,
Right? Go ahead.
I will spew thee out of my mouth.
Read.
Because thou sayest, I am rich.
That's it.
Okay, that's it on that. Go to
Deuteronomy 28:47.
Deuteronomy 28:47.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 47.
Then Revelations 2 and 4.
I got that.
Because
And then Jermaine, you can get Ephesians 4 and 1. Read Deuteronomy.
Because thou servest not the Most High thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things.
And this is one reason right here why we ended up being in the situation that we're in as a people. It's because we don't want to be hot. like I said, lukewarm, cold, lukewarm, or hot. We don't want to be hot. We don't want to be hot for the Most High. We don't want to serve Him with joyfulness and gladness. So after a while, the things that you're doing, you become lukewarm. Instead of you being hot all the way there for the Most High, or all the way not there, you're like, I don't want to be all the way not there and be cold and then be thrown into the fire. I'd rather just be around, but I'm not going to give my spirit to it. I'm going to just be there. I'm going to be lukewarm. Why? Because you serve not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and gladness apart for the abundance of all things. So you just like, you know what? I don't want to be destroyed, so I'm going to just be here. But I'm not going to give my all. But this isn't joyful to me. Serving the Most High it's not that joy that it used to be. It's not that first love. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, it's not that first love. And instead of looking at the joy, like Christ endured the cross for the joy that was set before him and is now sat at the right hand of the Father, instead of looking at the joyful things, you're looking at all what you're going through. You're looking at, man, I got to do with this, I got to deal with this. My family, they're coming at me. My husband, he's always correcting me. Why is he always correcting me? Brother's always telling me what to do, telling me that I'm off, telling me I got to fight. Instead of saying, you know what? What's set before me? We always got to look at the goal. Why would a man not serve the Most High with joyfulness and gladness? Well, because he forgot that the Most High provides everything. He lost the vision of what the Most High was doing for him. You forgot that Most High just hit you with a brand new car, brand new rib, brand new this, brand new that. You forgot. Like, how quickly you forget. How fast we forget. Like, the Most High bless you today, and you'll forget tomorrow that, damn, the Most High did that. And then you forget that, well, you said it. You said it, right, earlier. Exactly. That you got to sacrifice.
Okay.
You got to sacrifice to get, right? But guess what? He's like, okay, I gave you this. Now I'm going to put you in this battle. What you going to do? I gave you the rail. I'm going to put you in the battle. What you going to do? I gave you the whip. I gave you the kid. I gave you the house. I gave you, whatever it is that you prayed for, I gave it to you. I gave you the wisdom. But now you're going to be in the battle. What you going to sacrifice? What you going to do? Well, nah, I don't see why I got to do that. That's the mind. The Most High gives it to you. And you're like, I don't see why I got to do that, y'all. But he already gave you. He already blessed you. Sometimes he'll give you the reward before you even put the work in. But now he's like requiring from you, and all he requires is what? Consistency, diligence, faithfulness, right? Long suffering, charity. That's all he requires. That's it. Brotherhood. We read it. Temperance, being temperate in these things. I require that you get dipped in this fire. That's it. Just burn you up a little bit, get away these impurities. And you like running from the fire. Right? You make the roadrunner noise. Beep, beep. And you gone. You run away from the battle. But he already blessed you. So what would qualify a man to run away from the trial?
World.
That's
World.
Well, it's the I don't have to be here and do it. I don't see the purpose. I don't see the purpose of this battle. I don't see the reason why I have to go through it like this. I don't understand the method. I don't understand the terminology. I don't see the reason why. Well, because you lost all that. We lose that because all you're looking at is, well, I'm in the trenches. We all be in the trenches, but there's a certain way you bust your gun when you're in the trenches, right?
Yep.
They teach you how to shoot your gun in the military, right?
Yep.
But then you get into the battle and you can't shoot like this. Who you gonna hit? They tell you to aim, one eye, boom, right? We're like, no, aim, one eye, pull the trigger, squeeze. You like, nah, I want to shoot like this. Well, you missing your target, and then you wonder why you're losing the battle. Well, because you didn't want to follow the method. You didn't see the importance. Go ahead.
Revelations 2:4. Revelations chapter 2 and 4. And Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 1.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse 4. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love.
That's the thing, man. We end up leaving. We forget how we felt when we first found the truth. And when we was on fire and we would do anything for the truth. We was telling everybody, everybody, our neighbors, neighbors, our friends, everybody. We had that zeal, we had that fire, man, but we forgot it. We forgot it. Read Ephesians 4:1 and then Philippians 3:13.
Ephesians 4, verse 1.
And then now, because you forgot that first love, that feeling that you had, read 4:1.
I therefore, the prisoner of the Most High, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called.
You don't walk worthy of the vocation no more. You really look at it like, oh man, I'm just a prisoner. I'm in jail. I can't do nothing. You don't want to walk worthy. It's like, it says you're supposed to be serving the Lord with joyfulness and gladness. It's not joyfulness and gladness no more. It's like you actually in a prison. Read Philippians 3:13.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 13. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended.
Instead of you counting not yourself to have been apprehended, you start counting yourself like, oh man, I am apprehended. I am a prisoner. Go ahead.
But this one thing I do.
And because you count yourself as being a prisoner, you start to look for anywhere out, any way to get out. You start to look for your escape. You start to plan your escape. So as soon as something happens, you use that as your route out.
Read that one more time.
Come on. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended.
Right. You count yourself not. Paul said it like this. I'm not putting myself in a position that I already got it. Why? Because going back to that first love, Paul was always on his first love. He wasn't like, oh, I got the first love, now I'm good, I got it, I'm in the kingdom. Remember, he said we count on ourselves as a number. We putting on ourselves as the number. I'm not going to act like I just got it and that's it.
Right.
Paul said, have I not seen Christ? Right? But he wasn't like, yeah, I seen Christ, y'all. I made it to the kingdom, that's it. I'm a Benjamite, I'm this, I'm in there. He said, we count not that we've apprehended. Go ahead.
But this one thing I do.
What does he do? Read.
Forgetting those things which are behind.
He did what?
Forgetting those things which are behind.
Right, so he wasn't looking at his yesterday works like, well, yesterday, nigga, I taught class for 8 hours, and that's it. I'm in the kingdom now. He didn't do that. He was like, yesterday was yesterday. What do I got to do today? How do I abound more and more? How do I keep pushing forward? Right? He wasn't, and not saying that his works of yesterday didn't count, but he wasn't riding the coattails of his own works from the day before. He was like, yesterday happened, now what do I do today? And then what do I got to do tomorrow? Go ahead.
And reaching forth unto those things which are before.
Right, look at that. Okay, how do I keep moving forward? How do I keep pushing forward in the faith? How do I keep being like that tree that's growing and abounding? But some brothers and sisters be like, well, man, I've been wearing these fringes long enough, I'm good. Or I've studied, man, yesterday I studied for 10 minutes. That should carry me through for the next week. Huh? What? If you die daily, if Paul said I die daily, then what was reviving him? What was bringing him back to life? How was he being refreshed? Well, it was a constant dying, refreshing, dying. And we know that when he was talking about dying daily, he was talking about that old man. But look at it the opposite way. Look at it the opposite way also. Because there has to be a refreshing. Why did Paul have to be refreshed? Well, because there was things in him that even though he was pushing forward, he couldn't ride off of his old work. He had to ride off of the brothers and sisters around him that were pushing forward with him. You see that? So he wasn't like, yeah, I already apprehended, I got the kingdom. I mean, did he have the kingdom? Well, listen, Paul put in enough works. Paul put in a lot of work to where he could have been like, you know what, I'm good. He could have built one church and Yahushua could have been like, yeah, you'll get in there. But why did he go to church after church after church and make 3 journeys and go through all these shipwrecks and all the whoopings and beatings? Because he was like, man, I got put in jail. That's not going to qualify me for the kingdom. Let me keep doing and abounding and pushing forward. I went to jail. Okay, great. Right? Remember Piggy Pinky and the Brain. What are we gonna do today, Pinky? We're gonna take over the world. That was every day. They weren't like, well, nigga, we tried yesterday and we didn't do it, so we give up. He's like, what we gonna do today? We gonna take over the world. What we gonna do tomorrow? We gonna take over the world. It was always that looking forward. Go ahead. Was that it?
That was it. Two more. Go to First Timothy 6 and 12. And then the last one will be 1 Corinthians 9 and 25.
1 Timothy
9 and 24, sorry. 1 Corinthians 9 and 24, and then 1 Timothy 6 and 12.
1 Corinthians or 1 Timothy first?
1 Timothy's first.
1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 12. Fight the good fight of faith.
Go ahead.
Lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art also called.
So it says, fight the good fight of faith. And then read.
Whereunto, Salakia. Lay hold on eternal life.
So fight the good fight of faith. Lay hold on eternal life. Don't let it go. And what are we laying hold on? We laying hold on Christ. Go ahead.
Whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses.
All right. Go to 1 Corinthians 9 and 24.
Wait, where you at?
I'm at 1 Timothy
Right, because, right?
6 and 12.
Right, because what did we just read before that? Philippians, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't finish it. My bad.
Right, we didn't finish it. Right. That's why I'm like, wait a minute, that didn't sound right. Finish up Philippians real quick.
Philippians.
I mean, bro, listen, it's 9, we can go. It don't matter. It'll be all right. Damn, why do I fall?
4.
Go ahead, Philippians 4 and verse 13. Right?
Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ.
No. It's Philippians 3 and verse
13.
Read that from the top one more time.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 13.
Uh-huh.
Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended.
Read.
But this one thing I do,
Come on.
forgetting those things which are behind,
Right?
and reaching forth unto those things which are before.
Because what were those things that are, like, think about it. What was Paul saying? That every day, every time he had a vision and a goal, there was always a renewing and a refreshing in himself. You know why y'all decay spiritually? Because you don't have that self motivation. There's no internal flame, right? You gotta have that internal flame. You know, like the Olympic flame that never goes out. They burn that Olympic flame for how many ever days the Olympics go on. Each man gotta have and woman, you gotta have a spark in you. That fire in you that burns for the word, for the calling, for the duty. This is what Paul was showing us, that, bro, my flame is burning. It ain't gonna dim out because I did some work yesterday. Because I opened up a church yesterday, now I'm done. Right? It's like Kazakia. He opened up a school in Colorado, now that's it. But then he came to Houston. No, that's it. Now he's in Virginia. No, you think that's gonna be it? Give Kazak 5 years, he's out of Virginia. I guarantee it. And on to the next state. And on to the next state. Until he dies. But that's how we all should be. That fire should burn in you to where you're looking at the next thing to do. The next great thing in the Lord. Watch, read on.
Verse 14.
Right?
I press toward the mark.
I press towards the what?
The mark.
Because there has to be a mark. There has to be a standard. There has to be another level that you're reaching to. It's like this never-ending ladder with no ceiling. That you're just climbing. And you're like, oh, I got to that mark. Oh, let me keep climbing. Got to that mark. But I press towards the mark, not withering away, not letting the contradiction of sinners dry you up, not letting the spirit vultures suck you dry. Go ahead.
For the prize.
For the what?
For the prize.
Just like Yahweh Shai, we're going to keep quoting it. For the joy set before him. Now he sat at the right hand of the Father. The prize is, man, there's so many different prizes. That's the crazy thing. We talk about the kingdom, but what about all the prizes here on earth? There's so many things to be had here on earth that you can have in righteousness and you can have in fullness. How about a real good relationship with your rib? How about that? That's a prize, right? How about having real brothers and sisters? That's a prize, right? How about having real unity and love amongst one another? That's a prize. How about being able to raise your children the right way? Man, that's one of the greatest awards any man can have.
God.
How about having your children walk in your footsteps for real? And not on some old fictitious, daddy was a Rolling Stone, so I'm going to be a Rolling Stone. Daddy was this, so daddy was a carpenter, so guess what? I'm going to build chairs for a living. Not that, but man, my dad was an actual standard. He was a priest of the Most High. And that's what I want to be. Think about the joy of that. And I'm talking about just carnal things here on earth. Because are we not here?
God.
Don't we want things here?
God.
Right, but see, these are the things you got to set the marks and push towards those prizes and set those things as a mark to push towards the ultimate prize. You got sons, I got sons. One of my goals is for my son to follow in my footsteps. So I do everything I can to say, you know what, when it's time, this is what he's going to do. But I got to keep setting the stage. And there has to be a constant renewing and refreshing. And I got to stay faithful. I got to be charitable, long-suffering, brotherhood, godly, all the things that we read. If these things be in you, you won't be barren or fruitless. Right. So my fruit, my son, brothers, they'll be sitting right here doing the same damn thing. That's my goals. Right? And then when you achieve the small things, guess what they do? They get you to the kingdom. You ain't got to even do nothing. But the small little goals, and they'll propel you into the kingdom. Now you're qualified. Read on.
For the prize of the high calling of Yahweh in Yahweh Shamashiach.
Right. Y'all see that?
God.
So, what is it about a person that's already decayed and just, they wither away? What is it about them? What is it that they've done?
Stop doing the work.
They stop putting in that work, right? That maintenance that keeps your spirit going. They stop doing all the things that are necessary to keep one motivated. Right? Why does a man's fire go out? Well, what is he looking at? He ain't looking at the right things. He's looking at the things around him and not the things that are in front. Right? Where were you going to go?
I already hit some of these.
Right?
We can go to 1 Corinthians 9:24.
1 Corinthians 9:24.
Go ahead.
Know ye not that they which run in a race run all,
Go ahead.
but one receiveth the prize?
Go ahead.
So run that ye may obtain.
But it says run that you may obtain. You got to actually run, man. Not a jog. Well, not a jog, but you actually got to run. You got to put forth some effort. Go ahead.
Read that one more time.
1 Corinthians 9:24. Know ye not
Right?
that they which run a race run all.
Right? So everybody's running. Read.
But one receiveth the prize.
But only one type of man is going to get the prize. Will the slothful get the prize? Will the double-minded get the prize? The man that's lukewarm? Will the one that's not charitable and faithful get the prize? No. There's only one type of man that's going to get the prize. It's the man that's tempered in his spirit. The one that is focused and sees the vision. The wise man that's foreseeing evil. Oh, there's a hurdle in the way. Let me hop that hurdle. Let me not run headlong into some strange tale. Right? There's all types of hurdles in this race. And guess what? You know what I love about, man, when you look at the Most High and he puts you on this course, you know what he considers? He considers your stupidity. He considers our foolishness. He considers our temptations. And he's like, I'm going to put you on this type of course. That's why we all run a different type of race. But well, let me say it like this. We all run the same race, but there's different obstacles at different times. We always say it. Everybody deals with lust. But the whole camp ain't dealing with lust at the same time. Right? You might have 2-3 brothers that's lusting. You might have a brother or two and a sister that's prideful. You might have this spirit, and it's just jumping around, and it just cycles through. But we're all running this race, but only the ones that are tempered in the spirit are going to get the prize. Only the ones that are looking past the fact that there's obstacles in this race and looking at the end result like, damn, there's the goal. There's the goal line. Oh, hurdle, boom, got that. Oh, puddle, oh, let me jump over that. Oh, let me dodge that. Whoa, Satan, lust, big booty, oh. And you dodge it and you run it, right? Only one man is going to win. Excuse me, one type of man. One type of woman. Go ahead.
So run that ye may obtain.
Right, like, and you were saying it earlier. Don't just be here. Like, yeah, I know, niggas. I know y'all said this before. I'm here. Bro, you gotta be present-minded when you run. You gotta run with a purpose. He said, run that you may obtain. Run like you wanna win. But that run is what? Going through the trials and letting the trials and the tribulations literally work on your spirit. Letting the unity and the brotherhood work on your spirit and make you a better runner. Read.
Verse 25. And every man that striveth for mastery.
Right, and every man that does what?
Striveth for mastery.
Because you're trying to be a master in this race. But what is it that you're mastering? What is it? You're trying to master your spirit. Yep. You're trying to rule your own spirit in this race. This race is about mastering one's spirit and mastering all the temptations that come to you. Well, I'm going to master lust. How? I'm not going to give into it. How? Because I'm going to make sure that when I see it coming, I'm going to run the other way. I'm going to flee from sin. I'm going to flee this. I'm going to flee that. I'm going to use all the tools around me in this race. So you're mastering your spiritual deficiencies and making the ones that are already good better. Adding talents. Go ahead.
Is temperate in all things.
Wait, no, in some things.
In all things.
No, in only what he wants to be tempered in.
In all things.
Only what she thinks is necessary.
In all things.
Yeah, in all things. What were those things? Godliness. Right? What were those things that we read in Peter's? Let's go back to that Peter's real quick. I love that Peter's. Right? What was it? It was faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, charity, and diligence. It was all these things that you were supposed to be tempered in that was going to help you endure to the end. He had endorphin to the end, right? Where's my phone going off? Right? You got to be tempered in all these things, man. Where we at?
Keep going.
Now they do it to obtain a Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown.
Go ahead.
Wait. But who does it? Remember, there's two types of men running.
Oh, God, yeah.
Remember, there's two types of men running. The ones that ain't about the brotherhood and the diligence and the long suffering and the giving themselves and laying down yourself for your brother and bearing the infirmities of the weak. The ones that ain't about that, they're doing it for a corruptible crown. What are they doing it for? To be seen of men, right? Hypocritical status. They're doing it because they think, oh, it's about women. It's about riches. Men pleasing. They do it for a corruptible crown, which ain't gonna last. Read.
But
what?
We.
Read.
And incorruptible.
Right, but we're doing it for the right hand of the Father. We're doing it to be set in the kingdom. That's incorruption, man. That can't be taken away from us. Taken away from us. Go ahead.
Verse 26. I therefore so run.
Right?
Not as uncertainly.
Wait. Not as lukewarm.
Uncertainly.
Not as double-minded.
Not as uncertainly.
Not as faithless.
Not as uncertainly.
Not as unbrotherly.
Not as uncertainly.
Right? What else? Where is it at? No virtue.
Not as uncertainly.
Lack of knowledge.
Not as uncertainly.
Read.
So fight.
He said, so what?
So fight.
No, just give up when it gets hard.
So fight.
No, brothers. I ain't got to go through that fight.
Fight.
Listen, Satan is whooping my ass and I don't know what to do.
Fight.
Read.
I, not as one that beateth the air.
Yeah, man, we ain't here boxing and slap boxing the air, man. Because you know why? You know why he said not as one that beateth the air? Because it's an actual real fight in front of you. There's an actual real race in front of us. He's telling you, you can't fight like you practicing. Oh yeah, right? Yeah, they be warming up before they get into the real fight. Nah, bro, this is the fight. Not one that beats the air, because you have a real opponent in front of you.
God.
Who's the first opponent?
Yourself.
Oneself. Mastering your spirit. Then, who's the second opponent? Satan and all his minions. But your first opponent that you got to defeat is you, man. And all the inconsistencies and the things you lack, the lack of faith, the lack of virtue, the lack of brotherhood, the lack of charity, the lack of love, you got to fight those things in you. You got to temper those things in you. So you got to literally, there's always going to be a fight. Read.
Verse 27.
Right, go ahead.
But I keep under my body.
But I do what?
But I keep under my body.
Go ahead.
And bring it into subjection.
You see that? Because the fight is with you. He said, I got to keep under myself and check my spirit and do spiritual maintenance and be refreshed. Make sure I got lamp for my oil. Oil for my lamp. Mm-hmm. Right? I got to keep under myself. So what does that mean? I got to be tempered. But I got to go through the race. I got to fight with me. I got to check myself and look and see, man, what am I lacking? Or let brothers tell you what you lack. See, that's part of it. Brothers don't want to be told where they lack. Come, you're warm. You're a warm man. Got a lot of heat on them. Brothers don't. He said, I keep under my body, right? But brothers don't want to be told, because some men need to be told, like, hey, this is how you do this to get here. To get from A to Z, you got to get from A to B first. And this is how you're going to do it. Why? Because we've done it. A man strive lawfully. A man strive for masteries, he must strive lawfully. You can't go from A to Z before you hit B, C, D, E, F, G. So let me show you how to walk. But no, I don't want to walk like that. I want to fly, B. Well, no, this is not the fly zone. This is the walk zone. Or I want to crawl. No, you got to walk right here. But then right here you got to jump, because that's a hurdle. And then you got to swim over here, because this is the race. The race got obstacles, but nah, I ain't going to swim, so you drown. I ain't going to run, but it's time to walk. Let's walk. No, I want to run. But you got to keep under your body. You got to know what's needed. Go ahead.
Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others,
right,
I myself should be a castaway.
Yeah, because for one, you're not going to be able to show anybody else how to walk and fight and defeat the demons in them. Because why? I'm sitting here telling you, but then the Spirit done took me away. What sense does that make? Like it says it in Job, you strengthen the hands of many, you taught the feeble and the weak, and when it come to you, you faint. Nah, you're supposed to be tempered in all things. Where we at?
Verse 27.
So and that's where the decay comes in. Because we forget that it's a fight, we forget that it's a battle, and it starts here. It's an internal battle with you, the old man, and boxing with him, and tempering him down. He said, I keep under my body. He's pushing down that old man. That way he don't become a castaway by that same old man. We always got to remember that old man is always trying to creep up and tear down the good work you've done and rip you from Christ and make the work that you've already done in the past. The old man's like, nigga, you did that already. Man, don't worry about pushing forward. Just be lazy. Just ride your own coattails, right? But that's what the old man is telling us what to do. The new man is like, no, I got to keep abounding. and pushing and moving forward and reaching, endeavoring, for the goals, man. It's a constant. It's constant. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions on that? That's it. Any questions on that? Jumping hurt, yeah. Get that. It's a good vibration, 144. Y'all got any questions online? This is a good class. I like 2 hours. Get it out quick. You ain't gotta go too long. No overkill. That was a good one.
Huh?
Y'all got any questions on it?
Uh-huh.
Got a lot of body heat. Jerk chicken.
How's that heat pad?
Listen, it's all good. If y'all ain't got no questions, we'll end it there. We'll be back Wednesday, right? We'll be back on Wednesday with another good. I got a good one. I got a good one for Wednesday. Ooh, good little history. So we'll be back Wednesday. Again, questions off the topic. Hold them until Saturday, or Priest Kazakia will get those for you on Friday. We're trying to break it up, you know, and let y'all get y'all questions in, and still give y'all these classes. All right. So with that, if that's it, we'll say shalom, and we'll see y'all back on Wednesday.
Shalom.